Today in VR, MetaQuest Pro gets a $400 discount ahead of the HTC competitor right round the corner. We also dive into Nostalgia Road, talking about a lot of our retro loves from the past, and we play a special edition of VR 21 questions. All that and more, so let's talk Oculus. Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus.
What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 73. I'm your host, as always, Dan from Playtest VR, and my co-host, Samson, is here. How are you doing?
Oh, I am doing quite well. Got in some PC VR action this week, and I got my Analogue Pocket in the mail.
Okay, we have to talk about that. We have to talk about so last week you got the Tilt 5. The week before you were on vacation. You're having a time. You're having a great time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I might be trying to sell the Haptic suit, and I did think about trying to start selling the Tilt 5. I was like, you know what? I gotta play Catan. I need Catan to come.
Whoa, okay. Let's just start the show off on that note, right? Haptic suit. Is it just something that you just don't use often?
Yeah, it's just I don't use this a lot, and yeah, I got in touch with the VR arcade, Toya.
Yeah,
I was like, maybe he wants it at the arcade. Let's see if I can just do this nice and easy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. I actually saw his Instagram the other day, and he had a birthday party, and it was raving.
Yeah, it's been bumping over there. I've seen a bunch of karaoke too.
Hey, maybe the Let's Talk Oculus podcast, caused this storm. I don't know.
You got the bump.
I'm not too sure. Well, update us on the Tilt 5 a little bit, because yes, last week, you're very happy with it, but then
I'm still happy with it. It needs more software. I haven't played it this week. Yeah, it just needs more software. I did buy, so I put a bunch of games on my wish list on Steam that I knew could play on the Tilt 5. One or two went on sale this week, and I did buy them, but I haven't obviously yet to play them.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So you may be thinking of selling that, getting a bit of dollar from it, and then going for something else potentially. And now that the PSVR 2 is coming around the corner, you're starting to get tempted. You're starting to get tempted.
If I was able to flip everything, I would be very tempted. I don't know. I could use that pocket change back.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think with me there's been a bit of VR, and I'll get to the VR part in a minute. But Dead Space obviously came out on Friday. I talked about it right at the end of last week's show for the PS5, and I've been crushing that. To be honest, It's so good. it's so
Got
well
you scared
done.
This time?
No, actually, I've not. To be honest, I've not got scared once. It's not a long game. I think it's 12 hours, and I've played probably 4 to 5 hours now. So I'm slowly making my way through, but I've not been scared. It's just I just love the concept of it. The guns that you have. Yeah, the guns that you have are very unique. They're not your standard AK-47, or anything like that. You do have a machine gun with a grenade launcher. That's probably your most standard type of gun. But then you have this I don't know what it's called. I think it's called a disc ripper or something, and it has blades, disc blades, saw blades.
You have to chop off the arms and legs, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, if you go for the head, it doesn't do anything. Yeah. Or the body, you have to chop off their limbs. But the razor blade is the disc blade, or whatever you want to call it, is so good because, first of all, if you press the R2 trigger, the razor blade just floats in front of you, so they just walk into the blade. But then if you press the R1, it fires them off.
It's like blade and sorcery.
And it's beautiful because sometimes there's 2 coming at you, and you just chop off both of their legs and arms in one go, and it's so satisfying. But yeah, it's an amazing game. Obviously, this is a VR podcast, so I'll quickly move on to the...
Well, I've actually been watching Beardo Benjo has been streaming Dead Space. I think he's played 8 hours. I know. I put it on while I fell asleep last night. Yeah.
What do you think of it from just watching him?
I mean,
It's a visually
yeah,
beautiful game.
Yeah. I'd watched some gameplay of Dead Space before. I'm a really big fan of the health bar being like a part of you.
I'm part of
So
the
it's
suit.
not like there's no HUD. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
your health bar is on your person. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. Some games do that, but very few, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's actually
like an
quite nice.
in-game reason to
Yeah,
have like your HUD or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. The HUD, and also in the back, you've also got it's not ketosis, it's stasis, I think it is. Yeah, stasis. That bar meter is also on the back of you too. But yeah, it's really good. If you if you're not playing VR, Dead Space is good, and I can see for a lot of people it would be scary. I think for me, because I play also VR horror, the VR horror is another level in scariness. So then it makes like
Very
the
true,
flat
very
screen scariness not the same, not the same.
I'll save my Analogue Pocket flat screen talk for the end of the pod, so we're not cramming flat screen here in the front. We'll sandwich it with our VR talk with flat screen talk.
Well, I want to throw it back to you then in terms of did you get any VR gaming done?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did. So I'm gonna preface this with last week I watched Mateo 311 had, I think, a free VR games video came out, and Thrill Seeker had a best VR games come out. So I want to try and get through a bunch of those. So first of all, free from the Mateo one is Dagon. Not sure how to pronounce it, but it's
Dagon.
It's a free like demonic narrative experience inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. It takes like 45 to 55 minutes or so. And it's like a point and click adventure. There's no locomotion or anything. It's pretty beautiful, and it's a pretty good story.
Have you said you dived into this, or are you going to check it out?
I did that. Yeah. There was another one that I am meant to check out, which is called Air Car, which seemed basically like a simple version of lo-fi, where you're in like a simple immersive flying air car through like a futuristic city.
You're just cruising around kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
You got some walkabout in with the pod. Atlantis.
Yeah. The decent scores we had. We had few people. We also had
Congrats, Doc.
Congrats, Doc. Won by a shot there, and congrats, Doc's dad, who came and joined us. Who unfortunately didn't do as well, getting just over par, but a fair
loser. The only one over par.
I was about to be nice for it, but I think he appreciates.
Doc wanted us to come at him, I believe. So
that's fair.
That was for Doc.
Fair. He's got to get good at the game. He's got to get good at the game. What about Atlantis? We played the easy mode on the Discord last Thursday when the podcast came up. Probably we're going to play something again this week. So if you are wanting to join the Discord or just join us to play Among Us, Walkabout, or all of the above, definitely join in. But yeah, Walkabout is great. It's getting all the plaudits as known about. I was wondering if it's going to come to PSVR 2, because I've not heard anything about it, and it's only on Quest, right? Or I'm not sure. It might be on Pico
it's on
as
Pico,
well.
I believe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's on Steam. Yeah, of course. But no announcement for PSVR 2, which is interesting. I'm wondering if that's something they're gonna bother with, or it's down the pipeline somewhere.
It has to be there.
Yeah, it has to be there. Yeah, it has to be there.
Golf
eventually.
Plus, though, I don't know, because they're like, aren't they owned by Meta now?
I don't know.
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't think.
Don't quote me. No quotes.
No, I don't.
Don't cut that. Don't cut that up.
Yeah, they're not on PSVR 2 yet, but that doesn't matter. There's something that I missed the last time we did a podcast, and that's Grid Legends. It's Grid Legends. I need to talk about Grid Legends for a couple of minutes. Yes, I bought the game, and I refunded the game.
Refunded that fast.
Yeah, so it came out earlier this month. It came out of nowhere, right? So there was no marketing, nothing. It was just like, next week, Grid Legends is coming out. And that's not a surprise. For a lot of VR games do that, especially with Meta. It's not really a surprise. But Grid Legends was coming out, and there was getting a little bit of hype for the 2 days. And it's the first ever like VR simulation and everything like that. I said, okay.
A full-fledged like AAA, or not AAA, but like a real
yeah,
game.
yeah. And it was $30, I believe. And I was like, you know what, I might as well dive in. If it's crap, I don't like it, whatever, I can always refund it, which is what happened. It wasn't crap. It was just a bit of a car crash, I would say, to use a pun in the right way. Bit of a car crash of a game. And the reason why I say this is it's Grid Legends is on the PS5 and all the flat screen, right? And it's a full-fledged, obviously, racing game which has a story mode. It has
and the whole game's on the Quest too, right?
Yeah, so they've ported the whole game over to the Quest, which is impressive in some feat. But the issue is that they didn't really create a VR game. They created a VR DLC add-on. So imagine you have Grid Legends on the PS5 or on Steam, and they're going, oh, here's the DLC. If you want to race it in VR, you now can. So all the menus and such will be flat screen, obviously, because it's not, but then as soon as you get into a race, put in the VR headset, you're racing. Okay.
And that's how it is right now with like F1 and Dirt Rally games like this.
Yeah. And that works great when it's an add-on to a game on the PS5, on Steam and such, because the graphics are fantastic and you're just getting an add-on immersive experience. And normally these add-ons are normally free. They sometimes cost a little bit, but you're just there for the experience. You're not expecting much, is what I'm trying to say. But this is a full-fledged Quest 2 title, and because they try to fit the whole game onto Quest 2 on its mobile chip,
it's only like 1080, right? Something like that. 1080p.
I don't know what the resolution in terms of, but in terms of what the graphics look like are bad, right? And it's not the fact that you need to have good graphics or amazing graphics to make a game
How
great.
did the driving feel, though?
See, the driving felt good. But the thing is, the graphics were so poor. It was like I was playing Gran Turismo on the PS1, And for some nostalgia fans, that's great. But when you're getting a brand new game for the Quest, my issue is that it's such a big name in the PS5 and such world nowadays that people getting the Quest for the first time are like, oh, Grid Legends, let's dive in. And then it also
takes up half of your Quest.
Yeah, it's also like 35 gig. Okay.
Sorry. But yeah, you felt like it was too mediocre, the graphics wise.
I think it rubbed me the wrong way because I like VR games that have been made for VR, and they're the proper VR games where the game hub's optimized for VR, where all the controls and such optimized VR. The controls, you're just holding your controllers. There's no motion controls, which I don't think is a bad thing because I feel like motion controls with the Quest Pro controls with nothing in between is not going to be the best experience anyway.
It's not the best.
You'd want a wheel, but there's no wheel support either.
Yeah, that's definitely the odd thing.
Which is odd, and that's not like a bad thing in terms of they can fix that very easily by putting in support or something like that, I'm sure. But the graphics are just terrible, and I wish they just say, if they were going to do this, to just port the game directly. If they go, okay, this game looks like crap, it just does not look good at all, right? Absolutely trash. What we could maybe do is remove the story mode completely, just to I don't know if they could use some more assets. I don't know how that works because I guess when the actual gameplay is on, it's whatever's running in the game which determines if it can run that. But
it's got like 16-player online multiplayer.
Yeah, it's the full game. Like, it's everything about it sounds good, but it is too good to be true.
I think if you're into racing and you want that experience in VR, that's like what you want. It sounds like, I watched GG's video on it and a few others. Most people have trashed it. But what it sounds like is like if you're really into like a racing game, and that's what you really want, and you want to play online, especially, like that's your option to do it in VR. But yeah, you're gonna have to deal with some bad.
I understand why people trash it, and some people can be over the top. And I feel like when it did come out, I think I tweeted a very over the top response. I think I put like, if all games are like this, I would given up on VR or something. And in some cases that's still true, but it's just the fact that I did not like the lazy port of it, where I feel like they could have taken the Grid Legends name, and just made a
Done,
VR
like,
optimized version, but they went the, I wouldn't say cheap, I would say cheap route, but maybe more lazy route where they didn't think about the experience of a VR experience, right? Like I said, if this is in PS5 Grid Legends and it's just an add-on for free DLC or whatever, great, fantastic. But the fact that
if they'll do that.
Yeah, I just think they could have if because it's on standalone Quest and it's the full game. I wish they like change it up a little bit to see if they could make it look a bit better. I don't know how they would have, because it doesn't look good. They could have at least got rid of the awful story mode to save up on storage.
I read somewhere it was like 1080p or something each eye. It was something very low resolution for VR.
And I was playing on the Quest Pro, so I don't know what it was like on the Quest 2, to be honest. I don't know if it was slightly less great, but yeah,
there was
a shame.
There was some other VR I got into. Was there other VR you got into?
Apart from our sponsor, but I'll get to that after you.
All right, cool. I didn't get into our sponsor, but I will read the sponsor after you get into the sponsor's game. So I got into. I'm not giving the sponsor more sponsorship than they need. All right, we can name their name in the sponsorship.
Roger that. Roger that.
So I got into No Man's Sky. I thought of Skiva when I did this, and it was in the Thrill Seeker.
It was one of his favorite games, he said, when we were on Between Realities.
Exactly. And it had been since I had like my laptop's 1060 since I hopped in.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful. However, I'm unable to max out ultra every setting. It did not run quite so well then. But yeah, you can just get lost in this game collecting random, just use your little ray gun thing that you're just collecting everything.
Yeah.
Just traversing the random planets. It's very cool. It is a game you need to like sink like 2 to 3 hours in per session, I think.
Yeah.
Which isn't generally how much time I have to do that.
It's also a long time to sink in VR at one go, you know.
But I'll I'm gonna keep hopping in. I think
is
I'm
there
gonna try to give it
and
a few more go.
Because I don't really know the game anymore, because I've been so far removed, to be honest, from it.
It starts off and you're like your crash or whatever. You got to go find things to help fix your thing, your ship.
Yeah,
and you fly that. You go fix some other things that you find. Because I did start a new game. I had played like 4 to 5 hours before, but I just start new.
Yeah, that's fair. Because it's out for the PS VR too. So I was curious to maybe
do that.
Yeah, just do it. I was curious because I'm sure when we get closer to the PSVR 2 launch,
it's a day one, right, for you?
What
PSVR 2?
Yeah, I'll be getting day one. Yeah,
and No Man's Sky is a day one for PSVR.
I think so, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, there's a few that. Yeah, I was about to say. I said when we get closer to the PSVR 2, we'll do maybe a more of a focused on PSVR 2 segment, just one off, just because it's coming out. Just to kind of talk about it.
Listen, we're a VR podcast here at heart, so
sure. we have to talk about the rest.
You're getting it. Every purchase you get should be a PC game that's been ported to the PSVR, because that's the only things you haven't been able to play. So
apart from the only thing that won't be would be the exclusives. So Horizon, Call of the Mountain, and Silhouette.
But that's a PCVR.
But everything else, I think
quality.
Everything else, I hope they port from PCVR. Anything that's on Quest as well, I think most likely I'll play on Quest unless it's a big title like Walking Dead. But at the same time, I was thinking about with Walking Dead, I think I'm just going to save that till like the end of the year.
Oh, Walking Dead, though, the graphics so much better on PSVR.
Yeah, but I think I'm just going to save it till the end because I still haven't finished the first one. I know if I buy it, I'm not going to touch it for a long time properly.
I had the 30% off Oculus 30, and I thought about using it on Walking Dead, but I was like, I want Walking Dead on Steam. So then I tried to buy Lone Echo, and it wouldn't let me use it on Lone Echo 2. It refused.
A game that they don't even talk about or give any help to.
And then it was going to run out in a couple days, so I was like, all right, screw this, I got to use it. So I bought the Oculus exclusive Arctica one. It's like a really old PCVR title. let's see if I can get the year for you really quick. Yep, October 2017.
2017. Wow.
It's like all teleport type of movement, but it's kind of like, I don't know, cool first-person shooter.
Yeah.
That seemed kind of short to run through, and I had the discount code. And I like using the discount code on the PCVR titles because they never go on sale.
On the Oculus app itself, they don't. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Interesting. Do you want to read our sponsor?
Yes.
Oh, there's a big cost for the listeners there.
I should mute next time. Sorry about that. Here.
Okay, while he's muted, I'll just say. Okay.
No, here we go. I'm just kidding. Sponsored by Beyond Frames Entertainment. Silhouette by Team Panoptes. I forgot how to say it. From the studio that brought you Panoptic, lend a helping hand in this first of its kind relaxing puzzle adventure. Use your hands, no controllers needed, to cast shadows and guide the island's gentle creatures to safety through 28 unique puzzles, a chill soundtrack, and tranquil environments. Silhouette is currently scheduled for a January 26th release, which was last week, so you can go ahead and pick it up on the MetaQuest store now.
You know how much it is? It's $10.
I believe it's $9.99.
Yeah,
which is under all of our price ranges. I haven't gone back into it, but at $9.99, honestly, the time I feel like I already got out of it would be worth it. Though I didn't pay for it, so take that with a grain of salt.
I know this is sponsored, so you just said take it with a grain of salt, but it's worth $10. It's worth $10.
If you're into hand tracking, if you're not into like a hand tracking puzzle game, you're like not gonna like this game. You know what I mean? You got to know what you're getting into, right?
You're trying to be. I'm just saying. It's like Do you know why? I think it's worth it? Is because it's very unique for a hand tracking title, and I love the premise of it. You know, last week I played just a little bit. This week I played a little bit more. Still not finished it. There's only 28 levels. I must be very close. But some of the levels get a little tricky. You know. I won't kind of spoil it, but they do get a little tricky. Sometimes I stood there waving my hands like an idiot, and you think, "What the hell am I trying to do?" But for example, it's not just hand tracking in terms of you're making your bridge every single time. There's also early on, there's one where there's two pillars, and the two pillars are creating shadows on the platformer. So your little character, which I forget what's called now. Yeah. is cannot get through those pillars. You have to break down those pillars, and how do you do it? You use a gun symbol with your hand and press it down and shoot it and such, and it works so well. The hand tracking is actually flawless. I still think it seems like a little rough on the edges in terms of positioning of your actual self.
Are you playing this on your Quest Pro or the Quest 2?
Quest Pro until next time. Because it's Quest Pro.
I'm curious if the hand tracking changes.
I'll let you know next week. But it's the hand tracking is really good, and it's cleverer than you think. It starts off really, really simple, but I just like the fact that it's very unique of using your hands in a way for a puzzler, and I think this can only get better after more and more puzzles added, and definitely if they maybe refine there's one issue which I always see where every time you're at a puzzle, there's two buttons next to you. One's to reset the puzzle, and one, for example, sometimes there's a clock that you can move up and down to change where the light is, right? Mm-hmm. Or a lever or such. And every time I'm in that position, they are right in my face. They're right in my face. And it's those little things like that maybe, I don't know if it's something
ideal. Yeah,
it's give me a little space here. Just put the platform just on the side and such. So little bits like that makes it a little rough around the edges. But at $10, sponsored or not, I would say this is worth it if you're curious about a new hand tracking.
If you're into hand tracking, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And or puzzles.
Yeah. Absolutely. But that's everything from Silhouette. And that will do for part 1. In part 2, we'll go into the news where there's a massive price drop.
Hey,
We know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part 2. Let's talk about the news. 3 items on the news list for today. One is a quite big item, so let's get straight to it. The Meta Quest Pro has a massive price drop in the US and in the UK for a limited time only. No idea what the limited time is at the moment, but the Pro essentially is gone from $1,500 down to $1,200, $400. $1,200? Does that make sense? No, $1,100. My mistake.
Yeah.
My math was bad on that one, but it's dropped by $400. $1,100 is now the Quest Pro, and it is.
CNET says it's 1 week sale or 2 weeks in the UK.
Oh, that's it. Okay,
That's pretty short. Yeah.
That's much shorter than I thought. That's much shorter than I thought. But that's such a massive discount for just a week or 2 weeks. That's such a massive discount.
Yeah, they want people to buy it. They don't want to give you time to think about it. Be like, oh, I'll get that, in 2 weeks when it's the same. No, they're like, if you want to save $400, you got to do it now.
So it's interesting because the HTC Vive XR Elite,
Same
that's
price.
a bit of a mouthful, comes out in March, and that's $1,100 as well. So I was wondering if it's maybe then it's 1 or 2 weeks to get people to buy it now, so they don't buy the XR Elite. But obviously you don't have a Quest Pro, and does this? I know obviously this is probably just something that you won't buy ever, but would this tempt you a little bit more if it was like 800? No. Not at all. Yeah, not at all.
Actually, I am looking forward. I will have a chance to try it out in a couple weeks. I'm going to visit my friend who has one.
Yeah. So as of the time of recording, actually, by the time everyone listens to this podcast, my Quest Pro is in the mail, being shipped back to Toronto or Ontario or wherever they do their shipping, I believe. And obviously bought it for $1,500, which is $2,200 Canadian, which sounds awful, right? but I just want
a mortgage.
Not in Vancouver. Barely get you a tin of beans. Anyway, so I have a few points on this, right? I just want to say I really like the Quest Pro. Hardware wise, it's great for an attempt for Gen 1 for XR. Sure, the HTC, as we discussed before when that was announced, probably has better hardware design for moving forward in the VR space. But for Meta's first attempt, I'd cut them some slack there. I'd be like, okay, that's it's a good attempt. And before the HTC Vive came out, it was pretty well done, But software, gone.
It's they're both run on the XR2, right? Like they both got the same chip.
Ish. Quest Pro runs on a slightly modified chip.
Oh yeah, the plus one.
But according to HTC, is that they've matched the same performance with the older chip. The XR2 is the same in the Quest 2. Mm-hmm. But my problem is with the Quest Pro is software, right? And when I say software wise, is that Apple is coming. Apple is coming sometime this year. It seems like it's coming soon, and they're going to rival this. They're going to rival the HTC one, and they'll probably come out at the end of the year. And the thing is with Apple is that 9 times out of 10, they just get it right when it comes to software. All right, when the software.
The integration into all their systems as well. But yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It not only enhances it makes things so seamless.
Yeah, it's I got this watch, I've got this phone.
And I have a Mac
computer, but
I have on my phone. Someone sent me a link. I'm going to copy and paste it straight on my Mac immediately, and it pastes in them. The continuity is beautiful. It works.
Or just
seamlessly.
like they show up when you have the VR headset on.
Yeah, and that's what will happen. That was what will happen. If I got my Mac on and I have the dock, if I have my phone and I open the Messenger app will pop up at the bottom of my Mac saying, "Do you just want to continue in your Mac?" Simple things like that. They just work. But we'll talk about that more when Apple eventually does that later on in this year, maybe. But the Meta Quest Pro is so behind in software. Like, for example, downloading an update should just work. If I go into there, sure, automatic updates is off. You have to turn that on into the settings in the mobile app. That's a whole big deal. But if I'm on the Quest Pro, and I see Walkabout Atlantis has just been announced, and it says update available. When I press update now, it should start updating, right? Didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's not been happening for the last month where I have to.
Yeah, this has been happening to a couple friends of mine where their updates have been going really, really slowly.
Or like it happened to Dave as well when friend of the show, who downloaded Atlantis 2, where it just couldn't. And he's on Quest 2, and he had to restart the Quest, and I had to do the same. I had to restart it. As soon as it loaded again, then it started. Downloading. And then even then, when it downloaded, the whole home environment got really, really glitchy, laggy. And then when I turned on Walkabout, it just wouldn't load. It got stuck. And then I just had to shut it down completely, turn it on again, then open it. Everything's back to normal. I'm like, what? And for example, like for the Quest 2, sometimes I'm like, okay, it's $400-$500. Like, it shouldn't happen, but okay.
I often have to turn it off and on again.
Yeah, but for $1,500,
doesn't bother me.
Bloody $1,500 prosumer device, that should never happen. Or if it happens, it should happen now and again, but not frequently, right? It should never happen. And that's the problem with the Quest Pro for me. It's nothing to do with the comfort. Like, for me, a lot of people have comfort issues. I think the comfort's fine. The HTC is meant to be super light and better, but like the comfort's fine. It's not bothering me at all. Maybe because my forehead's so big and it kind of provides support. I don't know, but you can blame hair loss on that. But the $1,500 headset should perform better software wise, and they're way behind. And they use the same software on Quest 2, and Quest 2 software can be janky at times, and they need to improve that. I'm not even talking about just the UI improvements. I'm just talking about just making the software seamlessly run. And even the app on iPhone, I don't know if it's the same on Android, but even the app on iPhone, the Meta Quest app, is also really slow and janky.
Yeah, I often have trouble with the casting feature.
Yeah. So it's like, what the hell is this? Like the software side of things.
This is Sparta.
I don't know what this is. So like, they need to get their act together when it comes to software. And I think they will, because it's software, it can be fixable. But that's why I would never be able to recommend this Quest Pro. Well, never say never. Won't be able to recommend this Quest Pro at even $1,100 yet. Because it's ready.
Essentially behind the PSVR 2, and it'll be basically behind the Quest 3. It's like such a short period of time where this headset's like top of the line.
Now people would ask, like, is it worth $1,100? I would say
it might be. Yeah, Sally Bradley says so.
I would say for some people, yes. I think if you're a tech enthusiast, absolutely, because it's new tech and $400 less. Come on, that's worth it. If you're an XR developer in the Meta ecosystem that you want to kind of do it for Meta apps, sure, the Quest 2 is going to be cheaper, but the Quest Pro is going to be so much easier to quickly put on, off, and such. Right? Sure, that would be worth $1,100, absolutely. But if you're outside of that, then, so if you're not a developer for just the Meta and you just want to develop LXR, why not go for the HTC if you're in the market for that one?
Especially because developers are probably going to be playing plugged in anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're doing PC VR, then why not do HTC or something? Unless it's hard for me to recommend. But on that though, for people who got burnt for buying it, obviously, because they bought it 3 months earlier. 3 months is not long for a price drop, but Meta are doing things about it. Apparently, it's not official, but I see that if you reach out to them, they offer you like a $30 or $50 credit or something.
Get some games.
I think Kimberly, friend of the show, she got $30. I think I saw on Twitter. I'm not sure if that's exact, but yeah. So you do get a little bit, but it's not. It's not obviously customer facing. So yeah. Any thoughts on that, or like maybe I'm very passionate about this because I have the Quest Pro.
Yeah, I don't have many thoughts on it. I was never really tempted. I'm not that. I mean, as the listeners know, I'm trying to sell things. Like I'm not trying to buy that.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you want to for gaming, then obviously it's better for
Yeah.
gaming than Quest 2 for sure, but not worthy of it. And you might as well wait for Quest 3, which is going to be, I think Quest 3 is going to slap. I think it's going to be great. Can't wait for it, to be honest.
I have too many handheld things, is what it is. But like, I don't know. The Switch you need for Nintendo things. The Steam Deck is pretty freaking great.
The Steam Deck's pretty good. It's that Steam Deck covers you in a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
And this Analogue Pocket is everything. It's like a little more micro. It's like,
but smaller.
It's smaller and everything like that. Yeah.
I know. I mean, anyway, for the last episode, when you told me what you were taking on when you took on vacation, I was like, "Wow, okay." So you took the Steam Deck, the Switch, the Pro controllers, I was like, "What is going?" And you still were going to get the VR headset too, but just because you didn't have that much space for it.
Yeah, I knew it had to fit in the.
I was like, "You definitely got too many handhelds." But anyway, can we move on to the next story?
Yeah, let's do it. The next story being
you don't
Barbaria?
know. Sure, we'll go for Barbaria. Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't sent you the script, so you won't know.
That's why I was just shooting. I was like, I know we're talking about this eventually.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So Barbaria is a new game which has been on Steam Early Access for a while. Comes to the Quest headsets in 2 weeks' time on Feb 9th. It's tough for me to describe this game, Samson. All right, looked at it.
I'll do my best.
Go? Yeah, you go for it.
I'll do my best because I was also very confused by this game when I watched the video. Essentially, there are various forces, various teams. Think of like a Warcraft situation, it seems, but you're on like more of like a tabletop situation. If you got monsters or characters. And you fight. It kind of looks like a Gorn type of fighting, if you will. You're fighting one or a few of them, first person. Then, after a little bit of first person action, you zoom out into like this god mode, and your characters all like they must be producing while you're down there or something. Like there's a lot.
What are they producing?
There's like more of them. You know what I mean? There's like you got an army or something as you're fighting.
Because
then you go into god mode. And then you're watching the army fight, and then you can sort of throw meteors and bigger defense things. And then, but there's also a multiplayer aspect, so they're like coming at you, and you're sending people at them. I don't really have a good sense of how multiplayer works. But yeah, it's very interesting game.
I would say watch the trailer. I would say watch the trailer.
Dude, I don't think that's enough. I think you got to watch this trailer and find an article or something like
and then see a content creator who has early access to. Yeah. I'm sure there's videos online probably because it's been out. So it's funny you said that because I wrote down the exact same thing in terms of its Gorn-esque combat. It felt very Gorny, especially with the trailer. Gorny, especially with the art style and the narration or what they were saying. They're
kind of silly. They're trying to be silly.
Yeah. But the genre stated on the Quest is action adventure strategy game, and I can see that. And with the multiplayer, it's asynchronous. So think about like chess multiplayer, where as soon as the chess move is made, you get a notification saying someone's made a move, and you come back into it. Same thing. So you can attack a player who's created their own like realm, and you get attack notifications each time you launch the game, and then you can watch afterwards, watch exactly what their attack was, cool, and then you can respond. So you're that strategy element, which is really cool. I like it. It's like Arcaxa, the RPG game that we had the guests on late last year, where it's an RPG, third person RPG, but then when you're in the battle modes, you go first person, and I really like that. That's using VR well. Saying that to Grid Legends there,
Arcaxer was in Thrill Seeker's video.
Nice, yeah. But I like that idea. I'm not sure if this is one for me, but I'm curious to see if it does well. The art style is really cool. I really like the art style.
Sorry, I'm looking up the price. $20
for the listeners. Samson turned into God mode for a second.
Yeah, when I Google things on my tall screen, it is blindingly bright on my face.
Let's round off the news with one last story, a quick one. Meta Bumbles.
Meta bumbled our knowledge, our
Meta-
news story on Meta.
Meta bundles Golf Plus and Space Pirate Trainer DX with the Quest 2 from February 5th to June 3rd, which replaces Beat Saber, which came bundled with it ever since it updated the price back in August, I think it was. And also Resident Evil, because since Black Friday, it's always had Resident Evil as well as Beat Saber. Interesting how they're doing this, Samsung, how they're like cycling through bundles rather than having the conventional approach of having different SKUs. Like PS5, you can buy a PS5 bundled with God of War, PS5 bundled with Horizon and such, right? Where this is like, okay, you bundle with this one, you buy, okay, didn't get this one, next bundle is this one. Like, you can't just go back and buy a different bundle, but
right.
You know, interesting how they do it, but what are you thinking?
Oh, no, I need white.
There
we go.
Samsung's losing it.
Yeah, what am I thinking? I think it's a pretty good bundle. Golf Plus, solid game. Space Pirate,
Very good.
solid, very good. Like motion sickness, not really a thing. Also, if you happen to have a gym nearby and you get Space Pirate Trainer, you get Space Pirate Arena.
Yeah.
And
the full scale.
I still haven't been able to freaking play that game.
Yeah.
One day I will.
One day. Yeah. I haven't played Spice Pirate Trainer. I only played the demo when I first got my Quest, and it was cool. It was like Space Invaders in a way, where
basically robot dudes are coming at you, and you got to blast
and
them
you're
away.
just on one spot. Yep. Yeah, you get the shield. Yeah, it was really fun. I might just pick it up, to be honest, because I remember it being fun. I went into a big. This is off topic. I went into a big loophole of watching Space Invaders gameplay on YouTube the other day, because I had a Space Invaders game on the Game Boy, and you probably should get this for your pocket, your Analogue Pocket.
I've already put everything on there.
Space Invaders for the Game Boy. It was like a black cartridge as well, and the music is absolutely sick. The music's like GoldenEye music, which I've also been playing. Sorry, on the Switch, I forgot to mention that. But the music is so amazing. But I used to play Space Invaders on that. I loved it, and I went through the full rabbit hole where I watched someone play the full game through of that on Game Boy. And then as I was watching that, I was online trying to find mini arcade systems that I could buy for like tabletop Space Invaders, but couldn't find one. I could find like a full cabinet, but I just wanted one that could like sit on the desk or something. There's like a small one, because you can buy a Pac-Man one like that from Arcade 1-Up, but not a Space Invaders.
What you need to do is just download the ROM.
I know, but with the stick and such,
you can get a joystick.
You can get a fight stick, but it's not the same. It's not the same. I want that cheap plastic. But
buy a cheap one.
Anywho. All right, that will do for part 2. Let's part 3, where we're going to talk about games out this week and anything else.
Let's Talk Oculus is available on all good podcast platforms and some rubbish ones as well. If you want to see the video version, it's available on YouTube, Spotify, and even Apple Podcasts. And if you really like us and you want to throw us $1, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. Back to the show. Okay, welcome back to part 3, where we talk about games out this week. And there are no games out this week. There are 0 games out this week. In fact, February is quite busy with more games like Barbaria. We got the other games out now, as I was thinking about it. But there's a few games coming out for February, obviously the PSVR 2. But instead of the games out this week, I thought we'll play a game of our own. I'm sure a lot of you listening and watching are familiar with the game 21 Questions. With 21 questions, if you're not familiar, I will think of a topic. In this case, I will think of a VR game that I know Samson has played, and then he will ask me as many questions up to 21 yes and no questions to try and guess what game it is. So, Samson, do you want to take it away? I have my game in my head. You want to ask your first question and see if you can guess at home for the people listening / watching.
All right. Is the game Cubism?
No.
I just wanted to come out. I was like, can I just nail this? Because that would be really cool. Okay, cool.
That's one.
Yeah, I'll take that. No, just gonna write down my questions here, and I'm gonna try to number them so that way I have a sense of.
I mean, I can also hold up the 1, 2, 3. I like your bold guess. I feel like that might be a good way to start this game all the time. Just go for a random.
Oh hell yeah! I've got the confidence of a confident person.
Right, Roger that.
Yes,
it sounded very confident right then. All right, let's go. So we got one
next
done.
question: is the game a puzzle game or platformer?
I can't. You have to say one or the other. It has to be a yes or no.
No, you can say that's a yes or no. If it's both, if it's one or the other, it's yes.
Oh, you saying? Oh, okay. So say that again. Is it a puzzle game
or a platformer?
No.
Okay, this is how I can knock out 2 genres at a time. Really, I should group more, but
Yes, whatever. It's not. That's a fun. That's a fun loophole.
All right. Is the game a shooter or horror title?
I like what you're doing here. No. Thinking, folks.
Is the game single player?
You know what? I'm not sure how to answer this one.
Okay, can
you say that again? Can you reword that?
I'll just rephrase it. I'll rephrase it to be can more than one person play this game?
Yes.
Okay.
I love the deep thought here.
Does the game cost more than $10?
No.
Okay. Is the game free?
No.
Okay. Not free, less than $10. Multiple people can play. I'm not quite sure if that means they can play simultaneously or not, but you're
doing well. You're on question 7.
I'm running it back. I'm just trying to think. I'm letting the listeners, mull it over, throw out their guesses, things like that. Honestly, I need like a list of games almost. All right, I'm going to boot up my library. Okay, here we are.
Oh, I'm not sure if you can do that. I feel like you should just try and think. Remember, it's a game. It's a game that you have played.
Yeah. All right. Is it a game that we've had the developer on the podcast?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That narrows it down.
I don't think you can look at your game list. I think that's cheating because it has to be a game. Yeah, because it has to be a game that you've played. So I don't think you can look at that.
I've minimized it. No, I've just got Barbaria up there. However, I do think I'm going to take another guess. I think.
Sure.
All right. Is it bocce time?
Yes. Well played.
I don't know why that was the one that just stood out the most to me, but I
like how you just went in with the guess there instead of going. Oh. Is it a sports game or trying to narrow it down even further just to make sure? But maybe I should do a you can only get 2 guesses kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was like, all right, I'm going to start off guessing a game. I've got to, because that would just be the coolest thing for this podcast if I gained it off the bat.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, nice one. Bocce time. Maybe we'll play that again sometime. We'll see what the listeners and viewers, if you enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I have some of that.
If you played along and you enjoyed that and you got it, let me know. And yeah, if we play it again, we'll pick up. Maybe you can choose. Yeah, I'll be the one. You'll be the one choosing the game, and I'll be the one doing it. All right, let's round off the podcast by talking about a non-VR topic, which is your Analogue Pocket.
Yes. My Analogue Pocket. The bottom half of the bread. Here we go on the video podcast. I'm showing it off.
It looks like a black Game Boy with 2 extra buttons.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And as you can see, I just push the power button and it boots up, and boom, there you are. It is on. And it's just the coolest thing. You can all these consoles and you just run them.
What kind of consoles can you get on there?
Oh boy, any ROM you can find, any core you can find. And I watched some of this YouTube video of this guy, and it's a GitHub, and you download this GitHub thing, and it like auto updates all the firmware, and it auto installs all the cores you could possibly need. And like auto installs a few like random arcade games too, it seemed. And then wherever you find your ROMs, you go there and you take your ROMs and you put them. You have to get an SD card.
Yeah,
because the Analogue Pocket does play cartridges, so
That's
I can
cool.
go buy like old OG Game Boy games or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool because I still have a good collection of my cartridges back in my parents' house. Not all of them, but Space Invaders is there.
What's funny is when this like 2 days before this came, I actually uncovered my old Nintendo DS in the back somewhere. I was like, oh shit. But it doesn't play DS games, so I'm gonna keep that.
That makes sense. And plus, what's the controls on it? Because do you have triggers or no?
Yeah, so there are these two in the back.
Yeah.
It's not, if you had really big hands, probably not ideal, but I don't find it too uncomfortable, kind of like sit in the couch, kind of resting it there, and then boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, they're like, I have the Game Boy Advance SP, and they have tiny triggers on the back, but I feel like they'll be similar.
I do remember that, yeah. And that was when that flipped up, right?
Yeah, quick fun fact of that before you continue. I won my Game Boy Advance SP in a magazine competition. There was a magazine, I don't know if it was in North America, but it was in the UK. It was called Jet X magazine. It was like a 10-year-old's magazine kind of thing, right? And I remember a picture of Sonic being on the cover at one of the stages. It wasn't just about gaming; it was more about just 10-year-old stuff, But like mostly gaming, like that was the main part of it. But it was just 10-year-old, Sonic and such. But they had a part towards the end of the magazine, which is just like you write in, and a lot of people write in, and they obviously message and such. But then you can get star comment and such. So I wrote in once. And this was back in the letter days, so I wrote with my awful 10-year-old handwriting, or I don't know how old I was, but it was definitely 10 or less. And I sent it in, and lo and behold, I got the magazine and my name was there, and they spelt my last name wrong, but my name was there, and it was me. It was two winners. I got star question and the other person got star question. I can't tell you what the question was. Like, I don't have that magazine anymore, which is a real shame, but I don't know what it was about.
Maybe it's archives in the internet.
It could be.
Will uncover that.
In fact, I will have a look after this show and see if I can find it, and I'll post it in the Discord if I can find it. Right, but because I think the cover was Sonic on the front. I remember because Sonic used to be my favorite. But anyway, so I won it, and I never received it. I never received the Game Boy Advance SP. It was like 2 months, 3 months, never received it. And then I wrote a letter to him again with my handwriting on just like white piece of paper, like no lines, just like all over the place with my pencil. And like Daniel, age 8 or 10, or I can't remember which age. And then I sent that in to them. And lo and behold, I got a package from Germany with like, it had the Europe plug, so it didn't fit in the UK plug because it's slightly different.
Yeah.
And I got the green Bulbasaur Game Boy Advance SP, and I still have it to this day, and it still works. And I left it at my parents' house, so it's like there. It's always in my side table, but it's still like it works. I have the charger still with it too, and it still works.
And the German one, in case you go to Germany.
And the German one. And the Game Boy Advance SP was amazing because I used to have the Game Boy Advance Standard, and obviously there was no backlight back in those times. And the SP, the biggest thing about it is add the backlight, and it's such a game changer. The reason why I had to wear glasses is because I was playing with no backlight all the time. But anyway, sorry, slight nostalgia road right there when you said that. But yeah,
I haven't been playing. I played. I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna boot up like an old Pokemon game.
Yeah, which one did you go for?
So I randomly booted up Ruby. There's like a huge chunk of Pokemon games I didn't play. Like I played Red, Blue, Yellow, and then like maybe one of Gold, Silver, and then didn't play till like the Switch or
Ruby,
like no, maybe a couple of DSs.
Ruby and Sapphire are one of my favorites. My favorite Pokemon is Emerald. Pokemon Emerald. Like I like my Silver. Silver's probably my like close to my heart one because I grew up with Yellow, but Silver was the one where I was old enough where I played it properly. Yeah. And I still have Silver too, and it had like a shiny cartridge.
Yeah, I remember those cartridges, and they had like a glittery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the Ruby, I had Ruby and Sapphire, and that's when Game Boy games were like pretty cheap. I think they were like $40. No, probably $30 US or something. You know, cheap-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I had Ruby and Sapphire, but Emerald was like when they always do a third one just to captivate both of them. Emerald was sick. I remember selling Emerald to my friend for like $60 once because we were like 18 at that point. But he was like, "Dan, you got Emerald?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Oh my gosh, I'll buy it for you for like $60 or £60 or whatever." And I was like, "Okay."
Done.
Take it, done. But anyway, did you start playing Ruby or?
Yeah, so I played for like a half hour. So, which in Pokemon terms is very, very little. Like, so we got through the intro, and I had like
get out of
two Pokemon.
Town.
Yeah. Like that's about it. And I play those games pretty slow. I talk to everybody, and things like this.
Go around.
And then I booted up a game like from every single core, pretty much, just to try them all out. So, I hopped in Castlevania, Shinobi, little Rayman. Little like one of the Zelda games.
Yeah.
There's Asteroid. There's a lot of like Dig Dug, Donkey Kong. There's a lot of old
like arcade.
Yeah.
I was playing Donkey Kong on the other day on the arcade because at my work, I don't go to the office more at all. But I went one time and they have an arcade machine of Donkey Kong, and that game's hard. That game's really hard.
So super hard. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I also got a dock, so I can play Game Boy games on my TV, which I tried to play Tony Hawk 2 Game Boy Advance on my TV. And let me tell you, the Game Boy Advance screen does not look great on a 60-plus inch TV. Yeah.
Do you have so you compare a controller to the analog or?
Yeah, when it's in the dock, I paired my Xbox Elite controller. There's something wrong with my PS5 controller. I can't pair it to shit. I can only play wired, and I feel like it's probably dead. And I'm just, but I don't know.
Maybe that's interesting. Yeah, imagine that playing Tony Hawk, which was meant to be for Game Boy, with an Elite controller on the 60-inch TV.
Yeah, and all the buttons are like reversed too. So you're used to the A, B, like accept, and it's B and all that. Like starts like R1. I'm like, what is going on?
What is going on? Oh man, good times. How much did that set you back?
Analogue Pocket, $275.
275, yeah. That makes sense because it's a niche product, right? Only a few people would get those,
and they just released a white version too after I was trying to convince my brother to get it so I could trade him.
Oh, for Pokemon?
No. I meant just my black one for his white one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it a lot. It's super tiny. It's easier to carry around the Steam Deck. I mean, obviously you're playing very different games, right? Like I'm excited to show like my mom this, right? Like I bet I can get my mom to play some Tetris or old Mario.
Yeah. It's $219 by the way.
Oh, there you go.
And you can buy
adapter.
You can no, I don't know. It says
would be cheaper. Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense if it was Canadian. Actually, no, it does make sense, but no, I'm on .co. Wow, they do other stuff, yeah. But I can see you can buy like cartridge adapters, so you can buy like Atari cartridge adapters.
Yeah, but those things get ridiculous because they like have to pile like so like the base massive one. Yeah, and it starts. You just start stacking them. Yeah,
interesting.
Like the old Genesis when you would have like the 16, like the 32. Yeah, all that.
The white one's nice, but the black one's pretty nice. It is sleek, too. Yeah. You know.
It's not bad. I'm not disappointed. I like it.
No, that's nice. Yeah, I'm all for that nostalgia, honestly. That's taking me back. Now I just want to go back home.
I mean, there are other cheaper options than the Analogue Pocket. I know Doc in our Discord has talked about owning something, I feel like.
Yeah, there's a YouTube channel of someone I really like. It's Wolf Den. Wolf, yeah, Wolf Den. WULFF Wolf, yeah, Den or something like that. But he's like primarily Nintendo, but most of his videos are about like retro or making mods on things, and he's done a lot of videos on retro gadgets like the Analogue Pocket and other types of retro consoles. So definitely in the market, definitely check that out. But the Analogue Pocket looks good especially if you want that old classic Game Boy form factor.
The only thing, there are these like classic machines or whatever that can play. The Analogue Pocket won't go to PS1, Dreamcast, and 64.
Yeah,
but there
that
are
makes
ones
sense.
that will. Yeah,
I feel like especially N64, you need way more buttons.
that's the thing. Yeah, it's just got 4 fleet. Honestly, it feels kind of weird even playing like a Genesis game. Because it's only got the 4 face buttons, whereas Sega had the 6.
They had 3 first, and then they came 6. Yeah. I didn't know they had 3 originally, but then because it came out for the Nintendo Switch, right, and it has 3 on the controller, and I was like, I swear there was 6, but I think that was after. Because I remember playing Mortal Kombat 3 on there, and you just bash. Good times. I've been playing GoldenEye, by the way, and GoldenEye's.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, I hopped into it, but it felt too weird on like. You need an N64 controller.
So I obviously got the N64 controller a couple of months ago for this, and it works perfectly with it, obviously. But I can't imagine without it because it feels like it's made for this controller, kind of like Zelda Ocarina of Time for the 64. Feels right because you need the C buttons in the way and such, and it's the only way to kind of play it, to be honest, unless you buy the DS version. DS version of Ocarina of Time is sick, by the way. Anyway, that's enough of the non-VR podcast.
Yeah, right.
We'll be back next week for some more VR and such. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will catch you next time. Yeah, we'll see you in the Discord. Bye now.